So, John,
Yes.
this last Sunday, you preached on marijuana, which
I did.
which it was probably a shock for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But it wasn't surprising for us in Illinois, knowing that the law was just passed January 1st that recreational marijuana is legal in this state. And I know that you were burdened about that, burdened for our church people for the people in our church to think biblically through this issue. And coming off your sermon, you specifically address recreational use, the Christian and recreational use, and you encouraged us biblically to abstinence from that it wasn't wise, it wasn't right. And so we got some questions after that, and I want to just bring those up with you. We made some posts.
Did we stir it up?
We stirred up the pot. That is a terrible joke. Sorry.
Keep going.
Should we just keep going? Okay.
We should keep.
No pun intended there. So coming out of Sunday, the question came up: why? If you didn't listen to the sermon. But why such a strong comparison to alcohol that you made throughout your sermon? And maybe just talk a little bit through, talk about why you chose to draw that comparison. Are they similar? Are they different?
Well, I think you don't have a chapter and verse on marijuana.
I don't think so.
So you have to principleize, and you have to go through the scriptures and figure out, okay, does the Bible have some principles that we can apply? And I looked at that and said, okay, getting high is an altered state of mind. And as I was doing some research, some of the pro-recreational marijuana sites even used the term intoxication.
Wow.
They used intoxication. That's I know that it's different. There's a difference between being drunk with alcohol and drunk with marijuana, or intoxicated with marijuana. One, you could be with marijuana. There's more functionality. You can function okay, but it's still
state, and that's the heart of the problem.
Yeah, it still inebriates. And the Bible just really presses sobriety.
Yeah.
Because we're in a spiritual battle, just like you wouldn't want to go to war, drunk or inebriated or intoxicated or even high. We're in a much more important war. Yeah.
And I think biblically too, looking at the use of wine, it always had to do with feasts and celebrations. Obviously, it could be abused, just like anything. But it brought people together. There was, they feasted together, and it was a sign of victory and celebration, where I think recreational marijuana is more individualistic. It's more, I'm going to disengage from community, and I'm going to pull back from it. And I think even drawing those comparisons can be helpful.
Well, it's funny though. I've talked to some people who would say the opposite of that, that being high with their friends was kind of a communal experience together. You would choose your friends that you could have this experience with, and it became a real bonding experience. So I would just say, I'd just go back to the sobriety and the fact that anytime that you've got substances that affect our mood, our feelings, euphoria, like money, drugs, alcohol, sex, those are some of the most addictive experiences. So we have to be super careful. If you're going to enter into that, just, you're probably not going to do a little bit. You're probably going to do a little bit more and a lot.
So we interacted with some other people, or at least I saw some more comments on this. And one person chimed in the comment section and said, "Didn't God create plants? Didn't He create coffee beans? Animals, food, all that stuff for our enjoyment?"
Well, sure. And it's a beautiful plant.
So how do we respond to that?
Well, in some ways, it's a pretty simplistic thing to say, because there are also things that God created that if you ingest them, you're going to die. So I think we got to use our minds as to what would be appropriate and beneficial. And then I would say go back to, as Christians, we're called on mission. We're not called to an individual fulfillment plan, like I get to choose my pleasures and it's just me. It's just me.
Yeah.
I'm on mission.
Yeah.
Until the Lord returns, I'm on mission. I've got something that He wants me to accomplish. So, and those kind of hedonistic, euphoric journeys are very private, very self-centered.
Yeah. I don't even think of enjoyment yet. I mean, sure, but true enjoyment is only found when you're fully satisfied in Christ.
Amen.
And running to Him rather than these things. And so, yeah, prior to the fall, I'm sure those, they were good, but sin has affected the cosmos, has affected this world, and affected these things. We're seeing the fallout from that.
Yeah, for sure.
So one of the last question I want to ask is, one big objection to abstaining from marijuana would be that it's possible, just like alcohol, to have a little bit and be responsible with it, right? How would you respond to that as well?
I would just ask the question, do you know somebody like that just has a little bit?
Yeah.
I think what you see its powers and the ability to lift up your mood, to give you a sense of good feelings and lift you in when you're sad or lonely or life stinks. I mean, I don't think people do just a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it's just you do it a lot.
Yeah, and you could save your money and go on a walk, right? There's other things that, like, why? It almost brings up the question, like, why that? Why
Well, I think,
alcohol?
one of the things I brought up in the sermon is that so much of life is just flat, steady patterns, and we, through all of that, need to show that Christ is enough. He satisfies me. I don't need to go to anything else.
Yeah.
I don't need the highest, mountaintop experiences, but to make sure that I'm being helped by the Lord and I'm finding full satisfaction with Him. Otherwise, it's going to take me away.
Yeah. Yeah, and I loved how you ended the sermon with that, of calling our attention to, we're all sinners. We're all idolaters at the heart, right? We've all made little saviors in our life, and punishment of sin is separation from God forever, and that's where Jesus comes in to offer Himself in our place, where we could find true satisfaction and joy and fulfillment in life only in Him. Yeah. And so if you didn't get to listen to John's sermon this last Sunday, you could just look below in the post, and you could click that link and listen to it. It's thought-provoking, and you will be encouraged. Until next time we do this.
And I start a new series this Sunday.
Boom.
Genesis.
Come out. It's going to be great. See you guys.